So everyone's got it. How many of you have ever heard Caroline Shaw's Partita?
I've heard a little
bit. Okay, because I did some research on it. She won a Pulitzer Prize for it. Now, here's a lesser known fact. She submitted the piece herself to the Pulitzer Committee.
Oh.
She was 30 years old. Yeah, youngest person who ever got a Pulitzer. Not the youngest woman, youngest person.
Wow.
And she said she submitted it because she wanted to get more renown for the group, Roomful of Teeth, who are the people who sang it. And she got the Pulitzer, which is kind of wild and crazy, but the piece is kind of wild and crazy. And one of the things she said to people who ask her about the piece is she said, the piece is about herself, her own life. And even at age 30, she has rather interesting life. You know what instrument she plays, what all she does? She plays the violin
Since really young.
since a very young age. And she sings, and she got, I think, a degree in violin performance. Trying to remember where she went. That I'm not remembering right now. I'm sorry. But she didn't have composition lessons for the longest time because she didn't want any teacher to overly influence her. And so she didn't want to write in anybody else's style. She wanted to develop her own style, which is kind of a cool thing. And as a violinist, she had played for one of her recitals a partita of Bach. So she was influenced by that. But she's also a singer, and she was influenced by different traditions that she sang in. So she was part of new music ensembles, both as a violinist and as a singer. She also was singing in Episcopal church choirs, singing ancient music and getting into them by audition. She got tons of awards from a very early age. She got a big fellowship after her freshman year of college. She went to Rice. I think she went to Rice undergraduate, now that I'm thinking about it. For the violin. She didn't know exactly what she was going to do in life. She went out and got stuff. When you hear Jacob's story about how he made connections and went out and got stuff, well, that's a thing. Submitting her own piece to the Pulitzer, you might think, whoa, that takes a lot of kind of craziness. But so other influences on her are gardens, because she's interested in all lines and how they meet each other. And she got a fellowship at one point to go to Europe, and she went to French gardens and Italian gardens and English gardens. And also, she's very into wall art of Saul. Yes, Lewitt. And I have to show you, I found one. I'm going to open another YouTube to show you that because I don't want to lose one I'm on. There were installations at Yale because she also went to Yale. Like you do. You go to, let's see, come on, wall drawings. So there we go, Lewitt. Not DeWitt, Lewitt. There was a good one. Well, which one did first I watched this one. This is a time lapse, and I have to share the screen, so it will get in the Zoom and share the sound. up in chairs. This is getting so low. And now you can see what they're actually doing. And somebody put Bach with this, which is very appropriate. That had to be exhausting, doing those lines, tracing them way down there. Converging lines.
His work is like instructions.
Exactly. His work is instructions. And there was another video where you get a little more about that, which is cool because that was what she was really interested in, were all the instructions. And this one, so I'm hoping this is still on the share. I think so.
Conceptual art is where emphasis is placed on idea over process or production. So the idea is the machine that produces the artwork. For Sol LeWitt, this manifested in the wall drawings.
It's like it's moving because of the, I don't know if it's the colours or if it's just the way it's got the curvy lines and the straight lines. It's really vibrant.
It's in Scotland, that's why she's speaking with me.
When you want to show a Sol LeWitt wall drawing, effectively all that exists beforehand are the instructions that sit alongside the work. So in our case, this is a diagram of the original installation of the work. So this is the drawing that was sent from New York, and this is set by a man called Anthony Sansotto, who's worked for the estate for about 30 years. And he gets exact dimensions of our space, and then from that plans how the drawing should extend or move or follow around corners and things. It also gives us the colour orientation of each of the bands. The fact that the Gallery of Modern Art is an old building means that certain aspects of the room are not perfect. So the drawings are always bespoke.
Bespoke meaning
the plan that we were sent from the estate has to be adapted, and at this point you start to notice that the room might move slightly, or there's a curve in the line of the skirting board. And it's these features that the wall drawing really pulls out as well. It pulls out the architecture of the space. It's taken about a month for the whole process and all. We started off a month before that preparing the room, so there was initially plastering. We pasted the wall with wallpaper paste twice. There was then 5 layers of gesso applied, and that's when the team began to draw the work onto the wall.
So each band is fixed at 15 centimetres, so we're working, we were dividing the length of the wall by 15 and coming up with sort of, 14.95 centimetres, so we're working within these sort of half and quarter.
So you get the idea. There's all these instructions, right? And I wanted to make sure no one else had joined. She included quotes of the instruction in the piece, and we're going to hear some of that. There was something of the line is, oh, you'll hear it in there. I know you will. It's in the Allemande right away. So what she's done that I instantly got the hang of, and I want to show you all that too. There's this whole dissertation on the piece. The text she composed some text, but some is from Square Dance Calls. So she's using that. A partita is what? A suite is what? A bunch of dances. Yes. And okay, and she takes some quotes from Sol LeWitt's instructions. And then she also took some line from T.S. Eliot, which was a really cool line. And I'm not finding it right now. Oh, Yes, the detail of the pattern is movement, is the TSLEM. And that really resonated for her. And as a composer, I will tell you that along the way, when I've been writing, certain things have suddenly locked in and resonated, and you go, oh, I have to do something with that. And for her, it was the detail of the pattern is movement. And that line occurs in the piece. There's also stuff that reflects the actual dance of the Allemande, which has a huge history that's gone into in great detail in this dissertation, if you go look for it. That it means German, so it was supposed to reflect the French idea of a German dance, but there were different times it came out in different ways. And she kind of took the short, long, and there's different parts of this that work. Vocal techniques. Now, this is a really cool thing about her, and I share this on Zoom. Go back to Mr. Zoom. So you can see this later if you want to. In the score, notes on the less usual note. EYS, eat your sound. Multi-step tongue filter developed by room full of teeth. And then this, I wonder if I can make this bigger too. Oh, yes. And there's an example of a yodel break. Nyman notehead indicates the use of head voice. Comma stroke confirms the differentiation from the chest voice that precedes it. So you'll hear them going back and forth between like singing in overdrive, where they are just like almost yelling, to this Renaissance kind of sound. And she had ways of notating it. And then there's textured breaths related to the Inuit throat singing tradition. They are featured primarily in the Courant. Courant means running or flowing or something like that, but it's not always a fast thing. J.S. Bach always makes it a fast dance, but if you do this history on it, you'll find it wasn't always. But so she had ways of audible exhale on us. So you see this. How many of you did conduction with Randall?
I've done it before.
You've done it before. You could have these symbols in there so that you go, oh, and then audible inhale on oh, oh, ah. Oh. Then there's an inhale, exhale gesture, as in Inuit throat games. And they can be more or less noisy depending on the dynamic contrast. And she put in all sorts of interesting instructions in the score, which I would like to see at some point, but it wasn't available for purchase at her website. And there are libraries that have it, but nowhere very close, and not any digital copies of it. So a gentle, natural closed mouth side, listening up to the pitch that follows. It is an abstraction of a pansori articulation. Stretch the pitch slightly in either direction, drawing from the intonation of Georgian singing. Georgia being in
Central Asia.
Yes. And an expressive pansori gesture involving diaphragm, accentuation, and pitch inflection. These are a few notes on the less usual note from Caroline Shaw. She has a great sense of humor. Much is always honest. Now we're going to listen to, I have to find the right screen. I think it's in this screen. I think if I go over, we're going to listen to the Allemande and see how many of those things that you hear. Because this piece is a piece you really do have to listen to, and it's 24 minutes. But we'll talk after each movement.
To the side.
To the side.
To the side.
And around.
Through the middle.
To the side.
To the side.
To the side.
And around.
Through the middle.
To the side.
To the side.
To the side.
To the
Oh, come on.
side.
To the side and around.
And around and around
and around through the middle.
To the side. 2, 3, 4,
And across.
5.
6, 7, 8. Through the midpoint.
The line drawn from the
Left
left
side. And then left around and around. And around and around. And left and around and around.
The detail of the pattern is movement.
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 The detail of the pattern
Of
is
the
movement.
pattern is
The detail of the pattern.
is movement.
The detail of the pattern 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 is movement.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
The detail of the pattern is movement.
The detail of the pattern is movement.
The detail of the pattern is
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
The detail of the pattern is movement.
The detail of the pattern is movement.
The detail.
The detail of the pattern is
So that was Alaman. Tell me your thoughts. Now you do know that Carolyn is the woman in the stripy shirt. And one of the reasons she became a composer this way is she auditioned to get into this group, and the group encouraged people to write pieces for themselves to sing.
I found the score for the piece. And it's in bad detail, but it's there.
Ah,
Actually,
is it in, oh, it's in the World Catalog. Does it have very much of it?
it has, I think it has a decent amount of Almond, but
It's so little you can't really read it.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you can go full screen. It doesn't help too much. Oh wow, this is not Partita Great Voice Sounds. Oh, it's for Annie Windows.
Yeah, she did do a version. Now, the Allemande was the last movement she wrote of the four. At first, they were performing them separately because she felt like for the group to perform the whole thing would be rude. So even though she had the wherewithal in herself to submit the whole piece to the Pulitzer granting committee, she didn't feel like the group should do the whole piece. But after she won, then it was totally fine to do it. So you heard the T.S. Eliot, you heard some Saul LeWitt. The line goes from the lower right-hand corner to the upper, all of this stuff she included, plus the square dance things were all there. And all the different kinds of sounds you can get out of a human voice. So, obviously she's very talented musician because she's always been able to get into different ensembles that are audition only to get into. But there you go. Now, so that's often dance suites start with an allemande. And then the second movement for here, let's see, we gotta go to this and see. Second movement here is the saraband, which is not the normal order in a dance suite, because what normally comes after the allemande? Anybody? William, you just played a partita. Correct. Yes. She does the saraband second. And for me, the saraband, I think, is the most beautiful of the movements. So, do you have any comments before we listen to the saraband? It's my band. The opening of this is really glorious sounding and really odd vocal technique. You can't write something like this unless you have a group like she's got to perform it. You have to have a really talented group of singers. So what do you think?
There's so much.
So much. That movement was more um texturally consistent
Yeah.
than the
it's
first
like that.
movement. It still went from there's that opening gesture, sounds like it must be throat singing sort of thing, but very pretty sound for a lot of it. Then there's the part where they're just like mouths wide open, singing really loud, which is, I mean, it's an amazing ensemble. When I first heard this piece, I was so totally blown away. I thought if any of you didn't know it, you needed to know what this woman is doing. And I think, was that the, let me see, not quite the end of it. We have to listen to a little bit of the Quran because this one is the one that uses all those breaths and it's pretty crazy. What does this sound like? Yes. And the descriptions of it don't talk about that I've found. They talk about other things. It sounds just like a train.
What's the name?
This is the Quran.
The one?
Quran. This is the Quran. She came up with a sound when it starts getting going. It's like, oh, that was the um, train getting out of the station, and then the guys sound a little bit like whistles. Did you notice now her harmonic vocabulary? Is this tremendously avant-garde in terms of harmonic vocabulary? No. In what ways is it so new and so well executed, you would get a Pulitzer Prize for this? What's going on?
Diversity of extent techniques.
That's part of it. That feel intrinsic. Don't feel pasted on. Sometimes when people learn how to do extended techniques on the clarinet, say, or how to write for them, they'll just sort of write some and go, yeah, that's my piece. They don't have an internal reason for them. It feels like all of hers are used for specific expressive reasons. And could you do stuff like that in your pieces that you are writing? You know, could you
Yes.
figure out what it is that you want to express, and would certain extended techniques help express that? How many ideas you got from listening to this? Alex, you're included. Alex has a finger up. I'm gonna stop
I'm gonna
this.
say I was definitely not listening the whole time, but I definitely really like the or if I do a vocal piece, I really want to use like that part, because I feel like that's very like opera, I think.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Expressive in the way opera is. Anybody else?
Well, the whole piece just kind of generally opened up my brain on how you can use vocal techniques. Actually, the piece I'm writing for JCI is a vocal piece. And I'm using extended techniques, but they're not the ones that I saw here. But it definitely makes me consider what's right in the piece.
What will fit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Evan, any ideas? William? Anthony?
Well, and another idea, sorry for interrupting. Another idea is that, like, for some of those sounds, having a large choir doing an accumulation of those sounds would sound really good, especially in a big room built for those acoustics.
Yeah. They had everything mic'd. And I'm sure they have a really good person on the soundboard making sure no one is punching through in a way they shouldn't, because you get 8 singers and they have different timbres and volume levels. So, Evan, you were going to say something.
Sorry.
I liked it. I liked how she used all the vocal techniques to create like a lot of rhythm, but also she made like different harmonies with the vocal techniques. Like someone would maybe do something high, someone would do something low, and it created like a chord out of mouth sounds.
Yeah, that they were interacting and creating some tones or difference tones.
And she did this nice thing, which I bet it sounds better if you have like a stereo headset, but it like goes, the sound moves around.
Yes. Anthony.
Well, I thought it was cool how she made all these like harmonies with the sounds, but they were also the melody at like the same time. Like to me, it was like is the breath sounds in the beginning, they were like all that you were hearing, and they were like the main thing, like the melody. But then they were also all the harmony because they were the harmony of what was going to be the bass part. But we did the bass part yet, so it was the harmony and the melody at the same time. I thought was really cool. So. I also thought it was cool how she personalized everyone's parts. Each person, they had a different color, so she brought them out at.
Yeah, so she was writing for that specific group. It is for 8 voices, but it was really that specific group. And normally with a vocal ensemble, you would not have equal numbers of men and women. Because the men can drown out the women. But like I said, they've got probably a virtuoso at the mixing board, if that makes sense. I think I have to stop this meeting so that I can teach Trisha, which I might just do in here. And I will hope she got my invite.